today about cardiovascular health. And of course, that doesn't mean just cardiovascular health, it also means vascular health, which means really every organ in the body benefits from opening up the blood flow in the body. My name is Sinead O'Connor, and I'm joined by my colleague Keith Robinson, who is a very experienced cardiovascular. He has a lot of experience with cardiovascular screening, I should say. And before we get stuck into it, Keith, I'm just going to say this is for entertainment purposes only, and we don't give medical advice. And if people need medical advice, we recommend that they go to their healthcare practitioner. So, with all the formalities out of the way, we'll have a conversation, a short conversation. We're going to keep it under 10 minutes today, initially about cardiovascular health. So,
yeah. Back when I was doing a lot of vascular screenings, it was possible to measure the vascular system to find out what the central aortic pressure is, what the radial augmentation index was, which is basically the arterial stiffness. And that was going to give me an indication of what age somebody's vascular system is performing at. So let's say, for example, I screen somebody that's in their 30s, but they're coming in with the arterial stiffness of somebody in their 60s. That means they have already built up the level of plaque an average 60-year-old would have.
Yeah.
And that means they had that level of plaque there. That means they had very much restricted flexibility. So your artery is supposed to be clean, elastic, and free flowing. But what happens is it clogs up with plaque because people are not making enough nitric oxide, and therefore they run into all types of cardiovascular issues, which leads to blood pressure issues, cholesterol issues, bypass surgeries, and issues with cognitive function because blood flow is not getting to the brain either.
Yeah.
Many things. Every organ depends on oxygenated blood supply and nutrition carried within.
Yeah.
But if it's not able to get there, well, then the body goes into panic mode and it keeps asking the heart to rise in pressure. So that's the experience that I have in actually measuring the vascular system and then measuring the improvement in the vascular system, having used the Vital 3 protocol, increasing nitric oxide production, providing massive levels of nutrition for the body to use, and then let it start repairing itself. So that's the function that I used to use the vascular screening for.
Yes. And can you share, Keith, you have a very striking case study?
I'll be able to bring that up here now and show. This is actually the vascular screening of an 85-year-old gentleman that I was asked to help. And can you tell me when that's up there?
Yeah, it's there now. Yeah.
Okay, so the two waveforms there that we see, we have one in blue and we have one in red, and then you have writing the figures here on the bottom in blue and red. So obviously the blue waveform relates to the blue writing and the red waveform relates to the red writing. So when I met him first, his actual brachial blood pressure was 167/95, which is quite a high pressure, and even though he was on lots of medications, that was still that blood pressure working there. So he followed the Vital 3 protocol for 3 months. And after that, I did a screening on him again, but his actual brachial pressure dropped down to 131/77. So in real terms, why does the blood pressure drop back? The answer is the more blood flow you restore to all parts of the body, the less the body has to request that blood flow to get there. And if the only way the body can solve a problem of a part of the body looking for extra blood flow is to raise pressure. And this is why people end up with high blood pressure. It's a blood flow problem. I'll draw your attention over to CASP, which stands for Central Aortic Systolic Pressure, which is the blood flow pushing out blood at the left ventricle as it's pumping blood. And in other words, it's the heart's blood pressure. So his central aortic pressure was coming in at 162. If you look at the average ages and the average pressures all the way down here, you'd have to extrapolate this data all the way down to an average 185-year-old person to work at a pressure of 162. So
Yeah.
that's a disaster waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But within 90 days, the body had turned off so much of the request of the heart rising in pressure that central aortic pressure had actually dropped down to 122, which is the average for an 80-year-old person. So technically, he dropped 100 years off his heart pressure in 3 months.
Which is incredible.
Big change.
Yeah.
The radial augmentation index is what I would call the flexibility of the arteries, the arterial stiffness.
Mm-hmm.
So when I met him first, his arterial stiffness was working at, we call it 107% stiffness. And you can see that the average 70 to 80-year-old works around 83. An 80 to 90-year-old would be around 85. And if, again, he's working at the arterial stiffness of similar to the age group of somebody with a central aortic pressure of 162.
Mm-hmm.
These are sort of equal in age groups. But by using the V3 for 3 months, he had cleaned enough of the arterial system that the flexibility had returned, and he was now showing up at 80% stiffness.
Mm-hmm.
An average 60 to 70-year-old only operates at around 81.9%, so he went even better than that. So better than a 60 to 70-year-old arterial stiffness.
Wow.
That figure is only going to drop as you increase the flexibility of the arteries. And you're not going to increase the flexibility of the arteries unless you're cleaning the plaque and getting the flexibility back.
Mm-hmm.
So one other thing that I thought was fascinating, because when you learn how to read waveforms, the blue waveform, when I met him first, this peak here that I'm pointing at, is actually the heart pumping out blood at the left ventricle.
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes from where it pumps blood out of the left ventricle, it goes down and it bifurcates for the two legs. And at bifurcation point, there's another waveform that bounces back. So the device I was using is measuring the waveform pumping out from the heart, but also measuring the rebound wave bouncing back at bifurcation point.
Mm-hmm.
As it's heart pumping out blood, it goes left to right, bifurcates over here somewhere, rebounds back. In his situation, his rebound wave was bouncing back so fast, it passed out the wave going out, rebounded on the left-hand side. I know this because his radial augmentated pressure is showing up as a +4, and it should not be a plus. It should be a minus.
Mm-hmm.
That's telling me that there is no blood flow getting down his legs, or very little blood flow getting down his legs. It's all bouncing back.
Yeah.
But within 90 days, there's much better blood flow getting down his legs because his rebound wave has slowed down to a -10. So in that waveform, that's his heart pumping out blood. And this is his rebound wave here. He is in the process of remodeling his waveform based on his arterial health improving and the fact that he's cleaning his arterial system.
Yeah, really a fabulous outcome for somebody after just 3 months.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how fast you can actually turn around a problem. And several years later, I was actually helping out one of my team at a stand in Dublin at a show. And I saw this lady walking towards me down the corridor where I was. And she says, "Do you recognize me?" And I says, "I do, of course." I said, "How's your dad?" Which is that man that I just showed you the screen.
Yes. Yeah.
She said, "This is the reason that I had to come down, because after seeing you, I just wanted to tell you that my dad is doing so well, and I know he wouldn't be alive only for you. And I had to thank you again."
And that's really, there's nothing more rewarding, Keith, I'm sure, than hearing something like that.
Well, it just puts your mind in the position of knowing that you're doing something right, you're doing something that's a benefit to mankind, and that's one of the best reasons you can do something.
Absolutely. And so I want to keep this under 10 minutes. So if anybody is interested in getting more information about these products, please feel free to message either Keith or myself. And we're going to continue these educational short videos over the next while. This is really important information to